lose a league game this season. That's the latest. I'm Tanya Snuggs.
As winter approaches, here's a critical reminder of coronavirus symptoms from Dr. Gupta.
The main symptoms of coronavirus are a high temperature or a new continuous cough or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste. If you have any of these, to protect yourself and others, it is critical you isolate at home, even if you don't feel too bad. And you must book a test immediately. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Like a Radio. Talking Points with Keith Faz on Like a Radio 1458 AM.
Good morning and welcome to Talking Points on Like a Radio 1458 with me, Keith Faz. Thank you for joining me today, Sunday the 22nd of November 2020. Sonia, as usual, got us off to a great start. Can't go wrong with a bit of Bollywood on a Sunday morning. On this day in 1995, Toy Story, one of my favourite films, the first feature-length film created completely using computer-generated imagery and starring Tom Hanks, was released. My favourite character was Woody. My son's was Buzz. Sonia, I would imagine, will probably be Jessie. All four films have made $3.4 billion worldwide. Quite a figure. Our songs of the week have been chosen by Karen Moda, one of the leading businessmen on the Belgrave Road. He owns a shop called Anuki. Good morning, Karen.
Hi, Keith. Good morning, and how are you?
I'm fine. Now, tell me, first of all, how did you celebrate Diwali this year on the Belgrave Road, and was it different from last year?
So this year has been absolutely different and wonderful in the sense that it's 2020 Diwali, that it's something that we will treasure for the rest of our lives, and it's something that my grandfather will tell me how World War I, World War II was, and now I will tell my grandchildren how Diwali 2020 will be. So it's something that we have in common, put it that way. And it will be absolutely wonderful and different.
Indeed, and it must have been. Now, you have kindly chosen our songs of the week. What's your first song, and who is it dedicated to?
So my first song is dedicated to my wonderful wife called Kripali Moda, and it's one of her favourite songs in the world, and it's something that's very close, dear to our heart, especially during the Diwali time.
And your second song?
So the second song is a wonderful song which I dedicate straight to my mother called Ranju Moda, and she loves this song to bits, and we have a great time. We have a good little dance together, just me and her, which is great for mother and son dance.
Well, anyone passing Anuki on the Belgrave Road, if you can see the chandeliers shaking, it's because Karen Moda and his mum are having a dance. Karen, thank you so much for joining us from Belgrave in Leicester. We hope to see you soon.
Take care, Keith. Have a great day.
Apart from Diwali last week and the Hindu New Year, last Saturday was World Diabetes Day, and later in the programme we will be speaking with one of the foremost diabetes experts in the UK, Dr. Siva. This week my guests include the author, journalist and filmmaker Lady Mohini Kent, who joins us from New Delhi, and Councillor Amina Ali, a passionate campaigner for social justice, who'll be talking about the importance of Black History Month. And we'll be hearing from a frontline doctor who has written a play in between seeing patients, Dr. Shan Sahota. Stay tuned. This is Keith Faz on Like a Radio 1458.
Like a Radio.
Our special guest today is a decorated author of 5 books. The first, Black Taj, a novel that follows forbidden love and death in contemporary India. She's also a playwright. What hasn't she done? She is a global envoy in the United Kingdom for the International Buddhist Confederation and has just released a new book, Dear Mama, which features a personal introduction from the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, who has lavished praise on the work of her charity. Dear Mama compiles letters from famous figures to their mothers and has letters in it from the likes of Sir Cliff Richard all the way to the Dalai Lama. She enjoys reading, painting and opera. If we were looking for a role model for women in the 21st century, then our special guest would be a prime candidate. Lady Noon, thank you for joining me today from New Delhi. Good morning.
Morning, Keith. Thank you very much. And it is my pleasure and an honor to be invited to have this conversation with you.
Now let's start, since you're in Delhi and we haven't had a report recently about the COVID situation. I'm sorry to start about COVID, but what is the situation like in New Delhi at the moment? Are you in lockdown or are you allowed to walk around quite freely?
Well, I'm in voluntary lockdown, and I think the Delhi government's going to impose one quite soon because, don't forget we've just had Diwali last weekend, and people paid no attention at all to the government guidelines to have safe distancing and not to use fireworks. They went right ahead, and with the result that the infection is spreading pretty widely. The hospitals are full, and the air got quite polluted with all these fireworks, which went on until 4 a.m.
Quite different from where you were growing up. You grew up in Amritsar. Your household was spiritual. Is that why you became spiritual? Because of your early life?
I was born in Amritsar, but I didn't actually grow up there because, and I must tell you that my story almost ended before it began because my grandmother was an Amritsar girl and they came from a deeply spiritual family. They were closely linked to the Sikh Gurus and the Golden Temple, and in fact they were given a title by the Gurus. But she left Amritsar and moved to Jalandhar because she married into the royal family of Kapurthala, and her husband Prince Madanjit Singh had gone to Sandhurst Military Academy, and he was briefly aide-de-camp to King George V. His shirts all came from Jermyn Street. But when I was due, their trusted family doctor was in Amritsar, although my parents lived in Calcutta. So that's where we went. And the guru of the Radha Swami sect, he was a family friend, and he invited them to stay in his house. But, it was an old house with old-style decorations. And one afternoon, a huge concrete painted flower fell off the ceiling. But luckily she wouldn't, because that otherwise would have been the end of both of us.
Exactly. Well, we're glad it didn't. You attended convent school, you were taught by nuns, and you then went off to study psychology at university. From there, you went to study graphics and filmmaking. These are quite substantial leaps, are they not, from one area of study to the other? Was it always your intention to do filmmaking?
No, I don't think I had a goal, but I'm restless by nature, and my mother Amrit taught me, by example, to be intellectually curious. She went to one of the top boarding schools of her time in Lahore, Queen Mary's, and she graduated in European history. So the logical thing for me to study English literature at Lady Sri Ram College in Delhi, but I thought I must explore a fresh subject, so I enrolled in psychology honors. And I've been painting since I was about 5 years old. So when I went to London, I thought, okay, let me go to art school. And that was quite bizarre and interesting.
At a very young age, you co-authored a play, Rumi, Unveil the Sun, with your mother. Most young girls would go off to the movies with their mother or out shopping, but you wrote a play with her. Was she the one who encouraged you to write from a very young age?
My mother wrote at least 50 plays, and she acted in several of them. She sang on stage, and she was hugely talented, and she was full of fun and laughter also. She was an Urdu scholar, and she wrote in 3 languages, in English, Urdu, and in Punjabi, in Gurmukhi. And she read a lot, and I think I was just very closely bonded with her, and I imbibed all this. So I won't say that she actively encouraged me, but, Sufism is very much part of our Sikh family heritage. And of course, Mevlana Rumi is arguably the greatest Sufi mystic. So, we did it together, and she knew enough Farsi to translate Rumi's writings into Hindustani for the play. But we wrote it in English. It won awards in Delhi, and it traveled to London, and it was on at the Shaw Theatre. And I must tell you, a lot of it has a very good badge of approval.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. I'm talking to the charity campaigner, author and playwright, Lady Mohini Kent. We will be back after the break.
अपनी भैंस चराए
बस आज की रात है कल से वही से अपे है जी भर के नाच लो ना घर वाले ना मापे हैं क्लब पे अपना राज है डरने की क्या बात है ये तो बस शुरुआत है ये तो बस शुरुआत है
अरे अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है बाद में ना कहना कुछ भी पहले ही दे दूं वार्निंग पार्टी चलेगी टिल 6 in the morning जी भर के नाच ले बेबी नाच नाच के तोड़ दे सैंडल आंटी पुलिस बुला लेगी तो यार तेरा कर लेगा हैंडल जनहित में जारी जिसको अपनी जान प्यारी चुपचाप वो फ्लोर पे आके नाचे गाए नखरे वखरे ना दिखाए शर्म को कर दे बाय बाय माइकल जैक्सन वाले 2-3 एक्शन करके दिखाए पार्टी करनी है हम पार्टी करेंगे किसी के भी पापा से नहीं डरेंगे हम हैं बेटे हम बाकी सारे पानी कम हमें रोक के दिखाए जिसकी बम में है दम
मस्ती है माहौल में चाय कुमारी है सारे थक के बैठ गए पर अपनी पार्टी जारी है मस्ती है माहौल में चाय कुमारी है सारे थक के बैठ गए पर अपनी पार्टी जारी है अरे पंगा तो कोई शुरू करे अपनी भी गरारी है जुम्मी चूकी नोक पर रखी दुनिया सारी है
अरे अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है
Like Radio. Talking Points with Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
This is Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458 talking to the author, playwright and charity campaigner Lady Mohini Kent. Mohini, you've had a varied career and you've turned your hand at a number of creative pursuits. You're obviously into the arts, bearing in mind all you've done. You've written plays, you've written books. Of all the creative stuff you've done, which is your favourite?
You know, I enjoyed everything. I loved making films because they encompass all the each frame you can create it like a painting. I enjoyed directing stage shows because of the urgency of it. Once the lights go up, there's no second chance. Prince Charles came to see my Rama and dance drama. It was very funny for me to notice that a couple of stage props appeared and disappeared in the wrong scenes, but nobody else noticed. Now I'm writing books basically, and I enjoy that. On a blank page, you can conjure up a whole world reserved English sun. So, you know, you can go anywhere. The sky is the limit with books.
Mohini, you worked for a number of publications as a journalist and even a radio host on BBC Radio. Who is the most interesting person that you interviewed?
You know, I had the good fortune to interview many interesting people, but perhaps the most unusual was Alain Danilou. I went and spent 2 or 3 days at his estate, which was he was a philosopher, he was an ecologist, author, he painted, he danced, and I could go on. He was a French aristocrat who traveled widely with his gay companion in the 30s and 40s. And they settled in Benares in the palace of the Maharaja of Rewa on the Ganges. And that palace had a resident ghost. And the ghost walked around the terrace at night with clanking chains and muttering away. And within 6 months of Danilou and Bernier being there, the ghost was actually muttering in French because they spoke French. And he converted to Hinduism, and his books on the music of North India and others became textbooks in American universities. And he was an original, not a second-hand copy of anything. So, you know, there have been many interesting people, and each one, I think, gave me a different perspective on the world, which I find fascinating, and it opens up your mind. But I think he left a profound impression on me.
Now, one of the things that you do regularly is you organise spiritual teaching tours. What is the best piece of advice you have for our listeners when it comes to spirituality?
I think today we are at a very unique point in our human history. I mean, the COVID has also shown us that we are all interdependent in a very real way. Societies have broken down, and there's a great deal of personal freedom. One could be Jewish and still practice Buddhist meditation. In fact, you know, mindfulness has become independent of the religion. And we can do walking meditation in Regent's Park. We can practice awareness in a crowded tube. We can find joy in the autumn colors and, the blossoms in spring. And I come from the Sikh faith, which is not a monastic religion. And we were taught going in mud, but it blossoms above the mud, untouched. And I was taught that spirituality has to touch our daily lives. So we have to work, earn, enjoy, be honest, be kind, be good. And today, in many ways, spirituality has become a little bit of a bandwagon, and it's almost like a badge that people wear. But then they lie and they cheat their way through life. So I think it can be simplified, can be brought into our daily lives, and it's just a transformation of ourselves. And it's very important to be a good human being before one claims to be spiritual. So I'm very fortunate. I organize and host teaching trips with pastors, and they reach a lot of people, and it influences their lives for the good.
One final question in this section. You mentioned ghosts earlier on, and you're talking now about spirituality. Do you believe that there is life after death?
Well, I was born in India and raised in India, and for about 7,000 years, the Indian rishis, the sages, have been telling us about the transmigration of the soul. And all the wisdom of the rishis was thrown out of the window. So we became a kind of mishmash. I call people like me the stepchildren of the Raj. But today, all that knowledge and information is coming back to us from American hypnotherapists. I mean, there's that very famous book, Many Lives, Many Masters. And then there is Michael Newton, who's written a number of books. If you ask the Tibetans, who has come back to tell the tale, a Tibetan will say, who has not come back? It's just that we don't remember. His Holiness, the fourth Dalai Lama, is a reincarnation of the previous 13 and a repository of all that wisdom and that knowledge. So I think it's like anything else. It's like science. Spirituality is like science in the way that, you have to go and research your subject instead of dismissing it out of hand.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458, talking to the author, the playwright, and the charity campaigner, Lady Mohini Kent. We will be back after the break.
Leica.
Yono SBI UK mobile app.
Send money to India anytime from anywhere with preferential exchange rate.
Yono SBI UK mobile app.
Open an instant access saving account right from your mobile.
Terms and conditions apply. SBI UK Limited is authorised by the PRA and regulated by the FCA and PRA.
Thousands of people who suffered sexual abuse as children have now been heard.
It was wonderful to be finally listened to.
The Truth Project, part of the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse, will close in 2021. But for now, we're still here to listen, to hear your experience, and help create a safer future for children. Search Truth Project.
Pakistan is calling. The mobile plan you've been waiting for has arrived. You can now get 1,000 minutes to call Pakistan from your Leica mobile with Pakistan Plus M bundle. You can also get 3 GB of data and 1,000 minutes and text in the UK. All of that for the low price of £20 for 30 days. Never miss the chance to keep in touch with your family again with Leica Mobile. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to see the full offer today. T&Cs apply. Leica Mobile.
Punjab National Bank International Limited launches mobile app for personal customers. Whether you want to send money to India or view your latest balance, do that on the go. Simply download our app for free from your mobile app store. Terms and conditions apply. For more details, please visit
www.pnbint.com. Deposit protection from FSCS. Authorized by the PRA and regulated by FCA and PRA.
A designer outfit for your special occasion. Visit monavora.com. Black Friday week special. Buy one, get one half price with free delivery. Also, heavily discounted range of bridal and groomswear. T&C apply. Log on to monavora.com.
जो बनते हैं जरिया आपकी खुशियों का, बैंक अल्फाला रेमिटेंस बनता है जरिया उनका। इन्हीं खुशियों को तुम्हारे प्यारों तक पहुंचाता है बैंक अल्फाला रेमिटेंस, हिफाजत से, कानूनी तरीके से। कैश ओवर काउंटर के जरिए पाकिस्तान में बैंक अल्फाला की 700 से जायद में से किसी भी ब्रांच में या आसान रेमिटेंस और अल्फा रेमिटेंस अकाउंट के साथ सीधा बैंक अकाउंट में। जो निकले हैं कामयाबी की राह पर और हैं अपने प्यारों से दूर, बैंक अल्फाला करता है उन्हें Salam.
Bank Al-Falah, the way forward.
During the pandemic, people started listening to radio for more information and entertainment. Radio is a comfort medium that people listen to everywhere, through radio, online, mobile app and smart home devices like Alexa. If you are running a business and want to reach out to the masses throughout the day, then radio is the best cost-effective reminder. Call Leica Media Experienced Sales Team today to discuss your advertising needs on 0207 132 1458. That's 0207 132 1458.
Leica Radio. Talking Points with Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
This is Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458. When we come back after the news, I will be going from Crawley to Leicester, from Leicester to Manchester, and from Manchester to Northampton to ask people what they did when they celebrated Diwali last week. It's only 7 days ago, but it feels like an age. But my guest today is the noted campaigner, charity campaign. But my guest today is the noted charity campaigner, playwright and author Lady Mohini Kent. Now, Mohini, you established for Lily, a charity against human trafficking. What was the idea behind this? And are you happy with what Lily has achieved?
Yes, I believe we are all interdependent. So we are named after a 4-year-old girl, Lily, and she was sold at the age of 4 to a pimp for about £50. She was rescued from a brothel by one of our projects, but not before the worst had happened. And she grew up in a sheltered home, and now she's about 24. But when I sent word to ask what her life's ambition is, now that she's grown up, she burst into tears and said, I want to teach mothers to love their children. Why? Because her own mother, a prostitute, had sold her. So, this is a very evil trade in human beings in the world, and it's estimated about $1 billion annually. And William, say you did not know, chose not to turn away. And we are trying actively to help children like her and to prevent it from happening in the first place.
As you know, a lot of people have an ambition to set up a charity, but in your case, it's been going for a number of years. That's a good thing, isn't it? That you've managed to convince so many people to be supportive of it.
I've done this for about 15 years now, and I'm just a small individual. I don't have a rich foundation or a rich family to back me, but there are many good people in the world who, and especially in London, who have supported Lily against human trafficking. And they've, so far, I think we've collected about £1.6 million and passed it on to projects. So some good has been done. Run sheltered homes and educational projects, free schools and employment projects.
Now, you were married, he sadly passed away, to a noted British Indian industrialist and entrepreneur, Lord Ghulam Noon. Was it difficult being the spouse of a noted personality? Because you prefer to write about people rather than be a celebrity in your own right. Was it tough doing that?
Yeah, it was very interesting, and I never knew what to expect next. And he was an entrepreneur who was always looking for fresh opportunities in business as well as in life. And many unexpected and surprising things happened. And, you're quite right. I prefer to support people and to interview people rather than be in the spotlight. And I think we came from opposite ends of the spectrum in that.
Now, you're a global envoy in the United Kingdom for the International Buddhist Confederation. What exactly does that involve, and how do you spread the word of the great Buddha?
I think global interest in Buddhism really has been reignited almost by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And I'm very honored to be the global envoy in the UK of the IBC, and Richard Gere is their counterpart in USA. And in 2015, when the Dalai Lama was on his 80th birthday tour of UK, I was asked to host a lunch for him in London. And, he's head of state and he was once like a king. So how was I going to handle this? So I asked my friend to join hands with me. And he's also patron of my charity. And he immediately said, yes, you have my full support. So that's what we did. It was at his palatial building near Waterloo. And His Holiness was his usual, joy and wisdom. And I just very quickly will tell you one little anecdote he narrated. When he was a boy, he didn't want to study. And his tutors were in a fit, because how do you punish the Dalai Lama, even if he's only 6 years old? So they made a whip with sacred yellow silk. And he laughed and he said, it was a holy whip, but I felt holy pain. I think there's a lot to be learned from Buddhism in our particular age.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. After I finish speaking to Lady Mohini Kent, I will be talking to Dr. Shahan Sahota, who is a frontline worker, a doctor in Oxford, who herself is a playwright. She's written a play during the COVID crisis, as well as saving many lives. And to Amina Ali, a councillor in the London Borough of Tower Hamlets, about what Black History Month has meant to her and to the people of East London. Please join me after the break.
Leica Radio.
मैडम जी देसी फैशन में लैती होली में घोली मीठी इलायची हिले ऊंची फॉरेन रिटर्न नखरा बातें बड़ी है हाय फाय बिगला पिया पे एटीट्यूड वखरा झूमे ऐसे ना रोकी जाए ओ जद्दो नच्चे बेबी सज धज लगदी है ठाई जद्दो नच्चे बेबी सज धज लगदी है ठाई जद्दो नच्चे बेबी सज धज लगदी है ठाई जद्दो नच्चे बेबी सज धज लगदी है ठाई
Leica Radio. Leica Radio. Travel update.
I'm Michael Page. The M4 remains closed until tomorrow morning, both ways between Junction 6 for Stour-Windsor and Junction 8-9 for Maidenhead for the Highways Agency works this weekend. In the city of Farringdon Road is still closed both ways for emergency repairs between Ludgate Circus and Charterhouse Street. On the A1 Archway Road in Highgate, it's part blocked both ways for emergency repairs at the Northwood Road turn. In East London on the A13 Commercial Road heading into town at Limehouse, at the Salmon Lane Junction, emergency repairs means lane 1 of 2 is closed. And heading out of London on the A13 eastbound at Wennington, we've still got one lane blocked because of an accident at the Wennington interchange. On the trains, engineering work means there's no services into and out of King's Cross or Moorgate today, affecting LNER, Great Northern and Thameslink services. On the tubes, Goode Street Station remains closed on the Northern Line because of a staff shortage, and engineering work means there's no Hammersmith and City Line trains running between Hammersmith and Barking. The District Line isn't operating between Tower Hill and Upminster. There are replacement buses running there instead, and there are also no Northern Line trains running between Charing Cross and Kennington. And that's the latest traffic and travel.
Leica Radio.
Looking for a new car? With the new Mercedes-Benz online showroom, you can search and compare every new car in stock today. Why not start with all the cars with space for the kids and their stuff? Then pick out something sporty that makes you go,
wow.
So you like the A-Class. Select all those that fit your budget, then look through the latest offers. And before you know it, you've found the one A-Class that's right for you. Search Mercedes-Benz online showroom today.
You're just the one I've been looking for.
Leica Radio. Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. Don't forget to join me for part 2 of the programme about how they enjoyed Diwali. And I'll be giving you a phone number to ring me so you can tell me how your Diwali celebrations were. I'm talking at the moment to my special guest, Lady Mohini Kent, playwright, author and charity campaigner. Now, new book, and I have a copy in front of me, and it looks like no other book that I've seen before. I have to tell you, the presentation and production is absolutely fantastic. And when you open it up, the first message comes from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and you've got some very, very famous people in there. It's about letters to your mum. And this section is going to be a mum-a-thon, because of course we all love our mums. It's called Dear Mama, and the letters include letters from Narendra Modi, the Dalai Lama, Cherie Blair, and even Cliff Richard. Tell me why you decided to write a book like this.
You know, it's actually the theme of mothers and women. It's the theme of my charity, Lily Against Human Trafficking. And this people to buy copies for Christmas and give it, because the money will all go to the charity. And I think a relationship with the mother is very special. It's not the same with the father. A mother carries the baby in her body. Hers is the first face the mother distinguishes. And mother love can be unconditional most times. And the first words we say are mama. And again, coming back to Mevlana Rumi, he wrote, a mother is a watcher. She is the creator. So to honor women, that's the purpose of this book. And I'm glad you have a copy, because you notice the kind of intimate tone of the letters. Because no matter how famous people are or how far they have gone, but the mother remains in their memory if she is passed away. Someone very special. My own mother, whom I loved very much, died last year in March 2019. And as I write in my letter, I've said no one can take her place for me in the world, but she could take the place of the whole world for me. But, you know, there are other letters also in the book from victims. And they're very different letters that speak of trauma, betrayal, pain, loss. So, you know, I think it brings in both aspects and the world that we cannot and mustn't ignore.
But do you, and I think the book does acknowledge this, and indeed the foundation acknowledges this, because of the way in which Lily was sold by her own mother, that mothers can actually also be good to those children. And even if they do harm, children still want to be with their mothers. It's incredible, isn't it?
It's the umbilical cord, you know, that I think, of course, it's physical until the birth, but I think the emotional and umbilical cord, like mine with Master over a whole lifetime and even beyond, she's gone. But her impact on me is still there. And I think it's, if you look at nature, if you may not know their fathers, and they don't know their fathers, lions or deer or anyone, but the mother actually nourishes them and teaches them until they can stand on their own feet. So it's a very special relation.
In defence of fathers, being one myself, my own father passed away when I was 14 years of age. So my memory of him and my sisters and I were brought up by our mother for most of our lives. Do you think focusing on mothers actually diminishes the importance of fathers? Because, and speaking as a father, of course, have a very important role to play as well.
No, of course, Keith. And I mean, that's the whole family unit, that each one has a different function to perform. But, you know, my work is really basically for women. So we go back to the starting point. Therefore, the concept of the book came to me because of my work with women through the charity and even otherwise. They need a helping hand, I think, more than men do.
Now, you talked about the intimacy of some of these letters. How did you convince people to not only write the letter? Writing the letter is in a sense easy if it's private, but then to allow you to publish it. That must have taken some doing. Who was the most difficult of all these celebrities that you've asked to write?
They actually wrote the letters for the book. So the publication of it was not an issue because the letter was written in particular. These are not old letters. But sometimes it was very hard work. I mean, some of them are friends, and it still took me a year or 2 years sometimes to get the letter and the photograph. But I tell you, whose letter I got promptly was Prime Minister Modi's. And Sir Cliff Richard. It took sort of 3 days, and there were many other amount of time, but once he had accepted it was going to come. But it was just hard work getting the photographs. It sounds very easy, get letters and publish them. But it took me over 2 years. And some of them, I have to tell you, very prominent people thanked me for giving an opportunity to write this letter to the mother and express the feelings. Now, some of these letters were exceedingly long. I wanted 400 words, and sometimes I got 4,000 words.
Mohini Kent, it's been fascinating talking to you. I'm sitting here, as I say, with a copy of the book. I say to all our listeners of Leica Radio 1458, go out and buy a copy and make sure that you are able to give it to someone very special. Obviously, if you can, give it to your mum if she is still with you, and write something very special in the inside cover, because it is a very, very special book, and I think it is written by a very special woman. So thank you for joining us, Mohini Kent. We always ask our guests to choose a favourite song. I know it's difficult for you to choose, but is there one particular song you'd like us to play for you today?
I have so many, but I think when I was growing up, it was Ke Sara Sara, and my mother sang it. So there was this bond with her, which I always shared, and I think in a way it reminds back to you.
Indeed. Lady Mohini Kent, let us hear your song. Thank you for joining us. The best of luck with all the work that you do, especially with Lily, and of course your new book, which is written in support of your charity. And in the words of this song, what will be, what will be. Enjoy your time in Delhi, and we look forward to seeing you again in London.
Thank you very much for having me, Keith, and all my good wishes to the listeners of Leica Radio.
When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera, what will be, will be. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart, what lies ahead? Will we have rainbows day after day? Here's what my sweetheart said. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera, what will be, will be. Now I have children of my own. They ask their mother, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? I tell them tenderly. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera, what will be, will be. Que sera, sera.
Leica Radio. This is Talking Points with Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
All about the music.
All about the music.
This is Leica Radio.
To the busy cook ducking out of work early on a Friday.
See you later.
To weave through traffic. Shoot home and switch from work mode to chef mode with the flick of a t-shirt. Before zipping back out to the shop to get that green chilli you swear was in the fridge. And sprint back home to make a curry for 6 on a stovetop for 3. Whew. Or to make sure Friday night curry night brings the heat. We couldn't have done it without you. Tilda Rice, 50 years thanks to you.
Pakistan is calling. The mobile plan you've been waiting for has arrived. You can now get 1,000 minutes to call Pakistan from your Leica Mobile with Pakistan Plus M bundle. You can also get 3 GB of data and 1,000 minutes and text in the UK. All of that for the low price of £20 for 30 days. Never miss the chance to keep in touch with your family again with Leica Mobile. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to see the full offer today. T&Cs apply. Leica Mobile.
I wash my hands to protect my family.
I wear a face covering to protect my mates.
I make space to protect my colleagues. Hands.
Face.
Space.
I wash my hands to protect strangers.
I wear a face covering to protect other passengers.
I make space to protect you. Hands.
Face.
Space. As we spend more time indoors, we need to do whatever we can to help protect each other from coronavirus. So please, wash hands, cover face, make space.
Yono SBI UK mobile app.
Send money to India anytime from anywhere with preferential exchange rate.
Yono SBI UK mobile app.
Open an instant access saving account right from your mobile.
Terms and conditions apply. SBI UK Limited is authorised by the PRA and regulated by the FCA and PRA.
Visit travelhubLTD.co.uk and get unbeatable deal on any hotel anywhere in the world. Yes, any hotel anywhere in the world.
Lockdown में भी अपनों से मिलाए. Fly India with Air India. Call Travel Hub 24/7 on 0208 782 8833 or visit travelhubltd.co.uk for online registration and formalities. Travel Hub will take care of everything.
Travel Hub, best service with unbeatable price.
At all protected.
T&Cs apply.
During the pandemic, people started listening to radio for more information and entertainment. Radio is a comfort medium that people listen to everywhere through radio, online, mobile app, and smart home devices like Alexa. If you are running a business and want to reach out to the masses throughout the day, then radio is the best cost-effective reminder. Call Leica Media Experienced Sales Team today to discuss your advertising needs on 0207 132 1458. That's 0207 132 1458.
Leica Radio.
All about the music.
All about the music.
This
is
Leica Radio.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. We're now going to hear from a very special doctor who is not only an intensive care doctor with first-hand experience on the front line in COVID-19 wards, but she's also one of our NHS heroes. Do you remember the people we used to clap for every Thursday? Well, they're still there. As well as all that, she's a playwright who has written an immersive audio drama called Under the Mask, based on her experiences in the pandemic. Joining me from North London is Dr. Shan Sahota. Good morning, Dr. Sahota.
Hi, good morning, Keith.
Now, my first question to you has to be your experience working on COVID-19 wards. Do you feel that your resilience has increased as a result of that incredible experience?
Yes, massively. I think the kind of scare, obviously in hospitals, I've always worked with sick people and, you know, dying and suffering has always been a part of my work. But during the pandemic, the numbers were just completely transformed and the ages and the disordered deaths were really a complete transformation. So suddenly all the skills I had didn't help me get through it. And I didn't have the resilience initially and I had to learn it on the job or in the moment because it was a very different scale of suffering and death to what I'd ever experienced before. And resilience is a tricky word because I don't know if it's got easier and I don't know if I would aspire to finding it easy to look upon, but it was pretty overwhelming and pretty brutal. I really struggled.
Of course, and you know, we are so grateful to you for everything that you and your colleagues have done. But while you were undergoing this whole experience, which we can't even imagine what it was like, you wrote a play called Under the Mask, which draws on your experience working in the wards. Where did you get the idea for the play? And what exactly is it about? Is it about being in a hospital or being in the intensive care part?
Well, I wrote about my experiences for the Guardian paper when when I was at the height of the pandemic in April. And the reason I wanted to write about the experience is because I felt very isolated. I would often just say to myself, no one will ever understand what it's like in here. It was particularly cloistered because even though the whole nation's eyes were on hospitals in a way, no one ever asked me, what's it like? What do you do all day? How? And, you know, a lot of people said, oh, I can't imagine, or it must be terrible. But strangely, I felt that people were clapping with their eyes closed and didn't really have an idea of what it was. And I thought it was actually so humble and so kind of slow and undramatic compared to this kind of national imagination. So after I wrote about my experience, I was actually approached by a theatre company to write a play about it. So that was the process. And I wanted to capture the kind of small, mundane, and yet existential reality that we were all living really slowly and quite painfully day to day. So that's what the motivation was to write about it.
I can't have you on without asking you about the vaccine. Everyone is talking about the vaccine. We first had Pfizer telling us that they've got a vaccine. Now we've had other companies telling us the same thing. What are your thoughts on this? Do you, and we know it's only a guess. We know you don't work for some big pharmaceutical company. You're a frontline doctor. What are your thoughts on, first of all, the idea that we've now got a vaccine, and secondly, when it might be rolled out?
My thoughts are that this is the point in this pandemic and this trajectory where kind of modernity gets to rear its head. Because up till now, I think this has been a hugely humbling experience to us as a civilization, that we think we're so advanced, we think we're so kind of, that we've come so far, and yet the only measures that we've had to curtail this virus up till now have been frankly medieval: stay at home, quarantine. So this is the moment in the trajectory of this virus where we get to say, how has all our, quote, progress allowed us to change the course? So I'm kind of fascinated at the idea of whether it can work and how fast it can change the story of viruses which have been causing wreaking devastation on human civilizations, obviously for millennia. And, you know, I feel that my gut reactions and my predictions and my intuition has just been proved wrong at every corner with this virus, because all my pattern recognition just hasn't worked. It just hasn't prepared me for this. But, you know, based on the preliminary studies that have been published, I'm cautiously optimistic and just so want it to be true. I want the next year to completely eradicate this and it to be like a smallpox or an influenza that we laugh about eventually.
Dr. Shan Sahota, it's a real honour to talk to you, and we don't say this enough, but thank you personally and all your colleagues generally for the amazing work that you have done. We hope that we pass this very difficult period in our lives and in our history, and we are able to do that because of people like you, literally laying down your lives for people like me and others. So thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts.
Oh, thank you, Keith.
Like a Radio.
Finally, for this part of the programme, you probably didn't realise it, or did you? October was Black History Month. Let's go over to Bow in East London to talk to Councillor Amina Ali, who's a councillor for Bow East, an ardent social justice campaigner, and she's lived in Tower Hamlets all her life. Amina, thank you for joining me on Talking Points today.
Hello, good morning, Keith.
Perhaps you could remind us, celebrate Black History Month, and how long has this been done?
Black History Month started back in 1987, and at that time it coincided with 150 years of the Caribbean emancipation, and it centred around the birth of Marcus Garvey and 25 years of the African Union.
Now, you've been an ardent advocate for Black Lives Matter, and you were of the slave trader Robert Milligan. What do you see as the future agenda and direction of Black Lives Matter? First of all, why did you get that statue removed?
Well, thank you for asking that. Well, obviously in Tower Hamlets in the East End we have a history of the docks here, and obviously the docks are very much linked to slavery and the history around the UK's involvement in slavery. And Robert Milligan was a statue dedicated to a man who owned slaves and was part of that history. So it seemed quite the lives movement seriously and question our involvement in the slave industry and the lives of black communities in the UK, that statue resembled a past that Britain should be ashamed of. and that we should no longer celebrate. And I think that's why we centred around that particular statue in Tower Hamlets, and why the removal of the statue was quite symbolic to us in Tower Hamlets.
There is no doubt, Amina, that Black Lives Matter has captured the imagination of the country before ever taking the knee. But do you think there's a danger that it will just become people having a gesture for this agenda rather than actually following a specific agenda of things that need to be done in this country?
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, obviously, the anti-racism movement is not new in Britain. You know, since the bus boycotts back in 1960s, the Battle of Cable Street, 1919 race riots, black people have been fighting racism for centuries in the UK. But the Black Lives Matter, what it did do, it captured a new, younger generation who may have not known much about that. And I think it's important that the media doesn't lose attention, which we find out the media is actually losing attention about it. And it could just become a gesture. It could just be a kind of blip of something that happened once. And then the Black Lives Matter movement needs to do is go away and move away from being a protest movement to looking at the other issues around racism, like health inequalities, supporting black businesses, speaking against school exclusions, engaging black mental health, those kind of issues. I think it should be the new front battleground for the Black Lives Matter movement, so we can really address institutional racism in all forms across society. I think that should be some of the movement going, keep it on the agenda and see some kind of progress.
Councillor Amina Ali, black is a very wide term. How do you bring communities together? Because there are sections of the Asian community, I'm sure, in Tower Hamlets who don't necessarily identify with the word black. How do you bring all these different communities together?
You're very much right. There is that problem within the different ethnic communities about black. You're right there. And there is a tension there, I think, that we need to acknowledge. I think that we need to look at black as a political term rather than an ethnic term. And if you look at it as a political term, then it's about the rights for all people of colour. And I think that's the way we looked at it back in the day when we were fighting for the equalities right and the equal legislation. And there was a real movement of Asian and black workers in the trade union movement. And there was a real unity across inequality for all different ethnic groups. And I think we need to go back to that and get away from the politics of dividing the term and a term for equality across the piece for all different communities who all suffer discrimination in the UK. And I think that's what we need to do. And that's through education. It's about decolonising the curriculum. It's about talking about our imperial history, how it affected the Asian continent, how it affected the Caribbean. And then we will see that all of us are victims of an imperial historical past of the UK that has affected us all. And it's about our common unity and our common stick to the narrative of the Tories and others about the fact that different communities are different and experience racism differently, therefore they can't be together. So use the term as political rather than as an ethnic term. I think that will be the way forward.
Amina Ali, thank you so much for joining us this morning on a day that we will recognise the achievements of the black community in not just Tower Hamlets but also in the United Kingdom. And please carry on with your very good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All about the music. Like a radio.
All about the music.
This is
Like a Radio.
As winter approaches, here's a critical reminder of coronavirus symptoms from Dr. Gupta.
The main symptoms of coronavirus are a high temperature or a new continuous cough or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste. If you have any of these, to protect yourself and others, it is critical you isolate at home, even if you don't feel too bad. And you must book a test immediately. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Welcome back to the global Saas Bahu Kitchen Combat Competition. Till now, it's been a tie. Judges ने सास और बहू दोनों को 10 points दिए हैं for their मटर पुलाव and पनीर पुलाव. Now for the grand finale round, देखते हैं किसकी खीर जीतेगी.
मेरी खीर world famous है.
My kheer has won your son's heart.
Oh my God! Once again, it's a tie. Can you tell us the secret?
Akash Gold.
No wonder.
Akash Gold Basmati, finest quality aromatic rice, available exclusively at Tesco. It's
good. Pakistan is calling. The mobile plan you've been waiting for has arrived. You can now get 1,000 minutes to call Pakistan from your Leica Mobile with Pakistan Plus M bundle. You can also get 3 GB of data and 1,000 minutes and text in the UK. All of that for the low price of £20 for 30 days. Never miss the chance to keep in touch with your family again with Leica Mobile. Visit to leicamobile.co.uk to see the full offer today. T&Cs apply. Leica Mobile.
Yono SBI UK mobile app.
Send money to India anytime from anywhere with preferential exchange rate.
Yono SBI UK mobile app.
Open an instant access saving account right from your mobile.
Terms and conditions apply. SBI UK Limited is authorised by the PRA and regulated by the FCA and PRA.
Are you talkative and witty? Are you up to date with what's going around in life? Then we need you to entertain the whole of London through radio. Leica Media is looking for presenters for Leica Radio 1458 and Dilse 1035. Send your CV with your voice demo to Rupi, that's RUPI, at leicaradio.com.
Leica Radio. All about the music. You're listening to Leica Radio.
Just reflecting on how many other statues there are in London that probably should be removed because of the slave trade. Join me after the 11 o'clock news as we ask how you celebrated Diwali last weekend. As always, thank you to my very special guests, author Lady Mohini Kent, frontline hero Dr. Shan Sahota, and counsellor and campaigner Amina Ali, and of course to Karen Moda for choosing our songs this week. My closing song for this first hour is one of my favourites, Om Shanti Om. This has been Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458.
शाम गज़ब की हंगामा खेज है, इसका नशा ही गहरा है तेज है। शाम गज़ब की हंगामा खेज है, इसका नशा ही गहरा है तेज है। जुल्फ खुली है रेशम रेशम, सांस खुली है मध्यम मध्यम, ये तो इशारे हैं। अकलो होश नमी दानम, हम है दिल है और जानम, बस दीवानगी 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 है। ना कोई रहसन ना रहबर, ये इल्जाम लगे किस पर, बस दीवानगी 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 है। All the hot girls put your hands up and say Om Shanti Om. All the cool boys, come on, make some noise and say Om Shanti Om.
On 1458 in London.
On your mobile.
And on DAB Digital Radio.
This is Leica Radio.
From the Sky News Centre at 11. The Chancellor's admitted Christmas won't be normal this year as England moves out of lockdown and into a tougher three-tier system of coronavirus restrictions next month. Boris Johnson setting out his winter plan for COVID-19 tomorrow, with more areas expected to face tighter measures. Labour's Shadow Business Secretary Lucy Powell explains how she'd feel if rules were loosened over the festive period.
So I think we all want to be able to see our families in some way over Christmas, but we don't want to do that in a way that we then have to pay a heavy price in the following weeks. I think what we want is measured clarity.
Meanwhile, Rishi Sunak's insisted there won't be a return to austerity in his spending review this week, but the Chancellor didn't deny reports he could impose a pay cap on millions of public sector workers as he faces the job of balancing the books in the grip of the pandemic.
You will not see austerity next week. What you will see is an increase in the government spending on day-to-day public services, quite a significant one coming on the increase that we had last year. So I think there's absolutely no way in which anyone could say that's austerity. We'll be spending more money on public services.
He declined to answer questions on possible tax increases, saying he wouldn't discuss future budget decisions. A man's been arrested on suspicion of assaulting a police officer after an anti-lockdown protest in Liverpool yesterday. 13 people were detained in total, including for public order offences. Prince William has said he worries there are new dads who don't know what to do and are unsure about where to go for help. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge spoke to a group of fathers who've attended parenting courses run by the charity Future Men. And in sport, Everton look to end a run of 3 straight Premier League defeats this lunchtime. They're at Fulham, who sit just above the relegation zone. That game kicks off at noon, as does the match between Scottish Rangers and Aberdeen. That's the latest. I'm Tanya Snap.
It's Deliveroo's biggest Black Friday deal ever. Get a massive 25% off thousands of restaurants when you spend over £20 between Monday 23rd and Friday 27th November. That's 25% off tons of your tasty local restaurants, as well as nationwide favourites like Subway and more. Deliveroo, here to deliver. Download the app and order now. Offer ends 27/11, subject to availability. Selected stores only. Geographical restrictions, service and delivery charges apply.
All about the music.
All about the music.
You're listening to Like a Radio.
होगी ना इसकी खता नादा है दिल ये मेरा है ये बस तेरी अदा ये ना समझ पाएगा ऐसे ना मुझे तुम देखो प्यार हो जाएगा ऐसे ना मुझे तुम देखो दिल संभल न पाएगा ऐसे ना मुझे तुम देखो प्यार हो जाएगा तू जहाँ पे रहता है दिन वहीं पे कटता है 10 दफा ये खामखा वहाँ से गुजरता है छू लेना हाथ तेरा कर लेना बात तेरा है ये बस तेरी अदा ये ना समझ पाएगा खामखा कहीं इस दिल को प्यार हो जाएगा खामखा कहीं इस दिल का चैन खो जाएगा ऐसे ना मुझे तुम देखो प्यार हो जाएगा जब से तुझे देखा है बेकरार रहता है तेरे ख्यालों में बेशुमार रहता है हंस लेना देख जरा तक लेना एक दफा है ये बस तेरी अदा ये ना समझ पाएगा ऐसे ना मुझे तुम देखो प्यार हो जाएगा ऐसे ना मुझे तुम देखो दिल संभल न पाएगा ऐसे ना मुझे तुम देखो प्यार हो जाएगा
back-to-back hit songs are brought to you by Travel Hub. For the best service with unbeatable price, call Travel Hub on 0208 782 8833.
हमसे सस्ता कहीं नहीं मिल सकता.
Travel Hub.
At all us on Talking Points like a Radio 1458. Let's ask people how they celebrated their first lockdown Diwali. Well, I say first, I hope it's the first and last time we have our celebrations like this. Let's go first to Leicester. Where else would we go? And talk to Monil Chudasama, the co-owner of Chai Pani, which won Vegetarian Restaurant of the Year in Leicester in 2018 and 2019. And you can only imagine how many vegetarian restaurants there are in Leicester. So it's quite an achievement. Good morning, Monil.
Good morning, Keith.
Monil, tell me, Diwali this year was slightly different to last year. How did you celebrate your Diwali with your family?
Well, it was just our immediate family. Usually we have my cousins or other close friends and family from across the Leicester and come over, but this time it was quite intimate and cozy. We had some Indian sweets, celebratory food, and we did some fireworks to end it. We also played a few games like Antakshari and stuff, which is a traditional Indian game, which involves like Indian singing, which was fun because we always bring the traditional part of Diwali, as my grandma, she's elderly and she lives with us. So yeah, as a whole, it was very cozy, intimate. It was good. We got to spend some good time together.
Good, sounds fun. Now, Chai Pani, of course, is in the middle of the Belgrave Road, one of our busiest shopping areas in the whole country. Tell me something, what is the biggest in-demand takeaway dish from Chai Pani during the Diwali season?
Well, it's got to be crispy bhajia. That's a no-brainer.
Ah, my favourite, crispy bhajjas at Chai Pani. Your dad will know that.
He actually told me earlier that that's one that you always used to come down to have the crispy bhajjas. It's all-round favourite for people because it's light. You can have it with whatever you want, to be fair. So crispy bhajjas is a really popular dish. We've been doing takeaway on Uber Eats, Deliveroo, and Just Eat this year. So that's been keeping us going. Obviously, the celebrations of 50, 60,000 people on the road, that's come to an end. So I think all businesses have had to adapt to the current situation because safety comes first.
Yeah.
In a way, it's good, and we just had to adapt to new ways of celebrating.
Now, finally, during this Diwali period, someone very special to you has just had her birthday. Who is that? And would you like to send her a special message through Like a Radio 1458?
Super, yes. Her name's Dimple Naswani. She's from Leicester, and she just turned 23 on the 19th of November. I'd just like to wish her a super happy birthday, and I know that we didn't do much for your birthday, but hopefully next year when the restrictions are off, we're going to celebrate it to the full potential.
Wonderful. Monil Chudasama from Chai Pani on the Belgrave Road in Leicester. I hope you had a good Diwali. You sound as if you have had one, and a very happy new year to you and your family.
Thank you, Keith. Best wishes to you and all the family and all the listeners at Like a Radio.
Like a Radio.
Todo este parte de un plan. Esto es para darte con flow animal. Esto es para comerse ese pan. Tú muévete al ritmo del bam, bili bam. Just climax. Todo este parte de un plan. Todo este parte de un plan. Todo este parte de un plan. Bili bam, bili bili bam bam. Bam bili bam, bili bili bam bam. Bam bili bam, bili bili bam bam. Bam bili bam, bili bili bam bam.
संग दी गल तेनू कहनी चन्ना तेनू मननी पैनी
बिली बम बिली बम 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 बिली बम बिली
वे संग दी गल तेनू कहनी चन्ना तेनू मननी पैनी मेरा एही तेनू सवाल किदा मैं पोड़ा वे गिद्दा ਲਿਆਉਣਾ ਨੱਚ ਨੱਚ ਇੱਥੇ ਮੈਂ ਪੁੱਛਾਂ ਲੈ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਵੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ
Todo este pate de un plan, todo este pate de un plan. Esto es para darte con flow animal. Esto es para comerte ese pan. Tú muévete al ritmo del bam, bili bam. Bam, bili bam, bili bili bam, bam. Bam, bili bam, bili bili bam, bam. Bam, bili bam, bili bili bam, bam. Pick it up.
Leica Radio.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. From Leicester, let's go down the M1 to Northampton and talk to Neelam Agrawal, who organises the second best Diwali celebrations anywhere in the UK, after Leicester, of course. When I went a few years ago, she had an elephant walking down the middle of Northampton High Street. She had a huge following of people. Neelam, good morning.
Good morning, Keith.
So,
happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali to you. We were supposed to speak to you last week, but did you have a good Diwali celebration?
Yes, we did. Indeed. It was yet another fairly wonderful Diwali light celebrations in Northampton. Even COVID did not stop us, Keith. You'll be pleased to hear. So while we could not be there together in person, we still managed a really good, this virtual Diwali light celebrations in Northampton.
So if we drive up to Northampton, obviously on the way to Leicester or on the way back, we will be able to see all your lights as if you had the same ceremony as last year. This sounds amazing.
Yes, and we had nearly 8,500 views on the YouTube or the Facebook. I'm not very good with the social media. And we obviously invited our dignitaries. So we arranged, it was all pre-recorded. We arranged an event at the Guildhall where Lord Lieutenant, High Sheriff, the Mayor, the MPs and leaders of the council, etc. were invited to light a candle to signify the Diwali celebration. And they were able to record a Diwali message for the community as well. Then we used some of the previous year footage like Irish dancers, the classical Bharatanatyam dancers, and we also were able to then commission Festive Road, which is the art firm who has done the elephant like you were mentioning earlier.
My favourite elephant.
Yes, it is absolutely amazing, isn't it? So
it is.
We were able to have all the puppets, but we unveiled a new one of Lakshmiji this year.
Fantastic.
Because, yes, we try and add a new puppet every year, and this year was a special one, Keith, as you know. It was our 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
And we did not want people to feel disappointed that they've completely missed out.
Well, sometimes 21st birthdays are better than 20th birthdays.
Well, that's what everybody's saying.
So we look forward to joining you in Northampton next year. And please, our best wishes from the listeners of Leica Radio 1458 to you, Neelam, for the fantastic work that you do, but also the community in Northampton.
Thank you very much, Keith, and a very happy Diwali and a prosperous New Year to all your listeners. Thank you, Keith.
Kick it! All about the music. Leica Radio. All about the music. This is Leica Radio.
Punjab National Bank International Limited launches mobile app for personal customers. Whether you want to send money to India or view your latest balance, do that on the go. Simply download our app for free from your mobile app store. Terms and conditions apply. For more details, please visit
www.pnbint.com. Deposit protection from FSCS. Authorized by the PRA and regulated by FCA and PRA.
Look, here is my delivery of meat and groceries from Tariq Halal.
Oh, wow! Look at the freshness of the chicken, lamb chops, and even that keema. How do they deliver so fresh?
Tariq Halal meat comes in an iced packed box and delivers the next day. 7 days a week. At your doorstep, anywhere in the UK.
Now I'm going to do the same. Order my weekly meat and grocery shopping at tariqhalal.com. Tariq Halal, there is only one.
This is an important update about coronavirus. To help save lives, new national restrictions are now in place until the 2nd of December. You must stay at home. Only leave home for food, medical reasons, exercise, education or work. You must work from home if you can and avoid travel unless essential. Go to gov.uk/coronavirus for latest guidance and exemptions. Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Pakistan is calling. The mobile plan you've been waiting for has arrived. You can now get 1,000 minutes to call Pakistan from your Leica mobile with Pakistan Plus M bundle. You can also get 3 GB of data and 1,000 minutes and text in the UK. All of that for the low price of £20 for 30 days. Never miss the chance to keep in touch with your family again with Leica Mobile. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to see the full offer today. T&Cs apply. Leica Mobile.
I wash my hands to protect my family.
I wear a face covering to protect my mates.
I make space to protect my colleagues.
Hands.
Face.
Space.
I wash my hands to protect strangers.
I wear a face covering to protect other passengers.
I make space to protect you. Hands.
Face.
Space. As we spend more time indoors, we need to do whatever we can to help protect each other from coronavirus. So please, wash hands, cover face, make space.
Are you talkative and witty? Are you up to date with what's going around in life? Then we need you to entertain the whole of London through radio. Leica Media is looking for presenters for Leica Radio 1458 and Dilse 1035. Send your CV with your voice demo to Rupi, that's RUPI, at leicaradio.com.
On air, 1458 AM. Online, on your mobile, and on DAB digital radio.
This is Leica Radio. Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. Now, from Northampton, let's travel along the M1 South, get onto the M23, and get to Gatwick Airport and to Crawley, where we have on the line the president of the ambassadors of the Hindu temple in Crawley in Sussex. Good morning, Ashwin.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, Ashwin. Now tell me, Ashwin, how did you celebrate Diwali in Crawley this year? First of all, how big is the Hindu community there, and what kind of activities did you do?
We have 1,200 families, Hindu families in Crawley, and around 20,000 families in the surrounding 50-mile radius. So we in Crawley tend to be the central focus because we have a good, lovely temple and a large community center. All goes really well under normal times, but during this COVID shutdown, we are shut as a temple. Our doors are closed according to the government guideline. And so we did everything virtually on Zoom, on FaceTime, Facebook. You name all the normal virtual devices, we've used them. And we did it very, very well. And thanks goes to our hard-working trustees at the temple and also the temple religious worker or the Sastriji or the Pandit. They really held our chins up and engaged with everyone in all the celebrations, starting from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We had the Diwali celebration, and on Sunday we had New Year celebration. And during that New Year celebration, normally we would have everybody bringing some food at the temple. But this time there was nobody going, so no food was brought.
Yes.
And so the temple facilitated that, and we had fantastic ceremony which everybody witnessed on Zoom.
Ashwin, so the message was chins up in Crawley. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I hope you have
spirits up and pray and
indeed.
And don't forget what Lord Rama went through. And we remembered low drama only this ceremony of Diwali. Yeah.
Ashwin Soni, the head of the ambassadors of the Hindu temple in Crawley, thank you so much for joining us, and a happy new year from the Leica listeners to everyone in Crawley.
And same from us, happy new year to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Leica Radio.
Leica Radio.
Hit of the hour, sponsored by Pullman Interiors. Buy a kitchen and get a boiling water tap worth £1,200 absolutely free. Call Pullman on 0208 243 8880.
कदी ते हसबान वे न जिंद साडी रोन वे कदी ते हसबान वे न जिंद साडी रोन वे तू आजा दिल जानिया बेकार मेहरबानिया तू आजा दिल जानिया बेकार मेहरबानिया सानू तेरी रोन वे ना जिंद साडी रोन वे मोहब्बत मुश्किल भारी बड़ी ही मस्त बीमारी You wanna let it go and मोहब्बत लंबी यारी बिना पर पिटे जारी Without you riding like a मोहब्बत मुश्किल भारी बड़ी ही मस्त बीमारी You wanna let it go and मोहब्बत लंबी यारी बिना पर पिटे जारी Without you riding like a दिल मंगना मंगना इश्क में रंगना रंगना जीते जी से रब नु मिलना लड़ जाना मर मुख जाना कोई कहानी बस बदले जमाना आहू 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 मोहब्बत फिसलंदाजी पुरानी हो करताजी You never see it going on मोहब्बत से रब राजी दिलों की सौदेबाजी Before you know your heart is sold नैनों ने लड़ना लड़ना मंगा भी बढ़ना बढ़ना झगड़े में ना ये दिल लुट जाना लड़ जाना मर मुख जाना कोई कहानी बस बदले जमाना आहू 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 कदी ते हसबान वे न जिंद साडी रोन वे कदी ते हसबान वे न जिंद साडी रोन वे
Now listen up, all the you need some sign. Just look out for the sign. And it's the moment to know I got all that you need. Go for and
निशानियां न खोनी है सोनी है सांसों में पिरोनी है बातें तेरी हैरानियां हालातों की रातों की तेरी मुलाकातों की बातों ने चलना चलना रातों ने चलना चलना चल के मोहब्बतों में फिर जुट जाना लड़ जाना मर मुख जाना कोई कहानी बस बदले
Every Hour, sponsored by Pullman Interiors. Buy a kitchen and get a boiling water tap worth £1,200 absolutely free. Call Pullman on 0208 243 8880.
Happy Weekend by MeraBoiler.com. Their special offer, Valiant Boiler with 10 years part and labor guarantee with 0% finance available. MeraBoiler.com.
Leica Radio.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. Let's go to Manchester and talk to Parul, the owner of Lily's, a restaurant. Continuing our theme from the first part of the programme when we talked about mothers, Lily is actually named after her mother. How did you celebrate your Diwali this year?
So Diwali this year obviously was different. We were busy because of the business and we got to see a lot of people, hence it was still lively. People still bought loads of sweets. I think people obviously celebrated in the houses. We did a new service of posting people's desserts, sweets to get to the families. We were blessed in a way that we did feel the atmosphere, as in we were very busy and we did get to see people and we celebrated as a family, as we always do as well.
Wonderful. You've opened a deli, I understand, in Charlton, which is also in Manchester, in the Manchester area. Tell me what the number one takeaway dish from your deli over the Diwali period.
So Keith, for Diwali, it would have to be, I would say, our desserts. Everything's freshly made. We do everything in-house, but our dessert chef is exceptional, and the desserts we sell, everybody's enjoyed for Diwali, and we were very, very busy with them. So it's nice to know that people bought them, enjoyed them, and had the Diwali eating our desserts.
Wonderful. Parul, it's a bit late now, but from the listeners of Leica Radio and all your friends and family and colleagues in Manchester, a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Keith. Same to all of you as well. Wishing you all the very best.
This is Leica Radio. Leica.
This is Leica Radio. Leica Radio. Travel update.
I'm Michael Page. A reminder to start that the M4 is closed both ways until tomorrow morning between Junction 6 for Slough and Windsor and Junction 8-9 for Maidenhead for the Highways Agency works this weekend. In the city in Farringdon Road is closed both ways for emergency repairs between Ludgate Circus and Charterhouse Street. In Neasden on the A406 North Circular on the westbound side at the Neasden interchange, lane 1 is closed for emergency repairs. It's very busy on the South Circular, the A205 at Kew, not far from the Kew Retail Park. There are some roadworks and it's particularly busy on the northbound side coming from Chalkers Corner. On the trains, engineering work means there are no services into and out of King's Cross and Moorgate this weekend. That affects London North Eastern, Great Northern and Thameslink trains. And on the tubes, Goode Street remains closed on the Northern Line because of a staff shortage. Engineering work on the tubes means there's no service on the Hammersmith and City Line between Hammersmith and Barking. District Line trains aren't operating between Tower Hill and Upminster, and there are also no Northern Line trains running between Charing Cross and Kennington. And that's the latest traffic and travel.
Leica Radio.
It's Black Friday on eBay, and with up to 50% off, what's not to love? Love Christmas shopping in your PJs?
Black Friday on eBay.
Love a tech refurb deal?
Black Friday on eBay.
Then you'll love eBay's up to 50% off Black Friday. Buy, sell, eBay.
This is
Leica Radio.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. From Manchester, let's go to Stanmore in North London and talk to Vip. Vip used to be a businessman in Bourne End making multimedia products. Vip, how was your Diwali this year and how is it different from last year?
Oh, it was very, very different because of COVID. Everything's changed. The way we live, the way we shop, the way we travel. In the olden days, my mum used to make the sweets and the savouries at home. This is when I was in Kenya, and it was all excitement, children with new clothes and fireworks. But things have changed very, very, very much now because of COVID, and everything is online now. Everything is virtual. You speak to the family on various chat media platforms. You know, it's very different.
Do you think that 2021 is going to be a better new year for all of us than last year?
Well, if you had asked me the same question in November 17th, 2019, I would say that yes, I would celebrate Diwali pretty much the same and probably even better. But now The future is totally unpredictable. You know, we don't know what's going to happen in 2021 or 2022, whether we're going to have a second, third phase. We don't know. It's unpredictable.
But at least you celebrated Diwali, so best wishes to you and your family, Vip, for a wonderful Diwali and a happy new year, and we hope to see you soon.
Yes, 2077, the Gujarati New Year. Thank you very much.
Leica Radio.
थोड़ी जगह दे दे मुझे तेरे पास कहीं रह जाऊं मैं खामोशियां तेरी सुनूं और दूर कहीं ना जाऊं मैं अपनी खुशी देके मैं तुझे तेरा दर्द से जुड़ जाऊं मैं सीने से तेरे सर को लगा के सुनता मैं रहूं नाम अपना ओ लगदी तेरे नाल जिंदगी जानिए बस रहना तेरे नाल वे सोनिए रहना तू पल पल दिल के पास चोरी रहे तुझसे हर एक सांस सीने से तेरे सर को लगा के सुनता मैं रहूं नाम अपना ख्यालों में तुम ही थे बेख्याली में कोई आंसू न तेरा था जाली पलकों के जाली में तुम ही पाके कहाँ खुश थे तुम ही खोगे कहाँ रोए करे तो क्या करे कोई अगर तकदीर ही सोए यही तो राज़ उल्फत है जो हर आंसू का रुख मोरा बहुत खुश है तेरे बारे में जब से सोचना छोड़ा है जिंदा हम अगर तुमने दिया दुख तो नहीं तोड़ा बहुत खुश है तेरे बारे में जब से सोचना छोड़ा तेरे बिना जिंदगी गुजारेंगे किवें जान जान किन्नू पुकारेंगे किवें तेरे बिना जिंदगी गुजारेंगे किवें जान जान किन्नू पुकारेंगे किवें करोगे जे दगा करोगे सर्दी वाली मौत तुसी भी ते मरेगे ओ अल्लाह वेखदा जुल्म कमाओगे पर पछताओगे मुझे छोड़ कर जो तुम जाओगे पर पछताओगे
Radio.
To the parent busting out of work, to pick the kids up from football, before dragging them through the supermarket, hanging off a squeaky trolley, to get home and start making Mum's special vegetable pilau, while swatting hungry little fingers away from the pan, and receiving a recorder recital intermission. All because nothing is getting in the way of a Wednesday night tradition. We couldn't have done it without you. Tilda Rice, 50 years, thanks to you.
Pakistan is calling. The mobile plan you've been waiting for has arrived. You can now get 1,000 minutes to call Pakistan from your Leica Mobile with Pakistan Plus M bundle. You can also get 3 GB of data and 1,000 minutes and text in the UK. All of that for the low price of £20 for 30 days. Never miss the chance to keep in touch with your family again with Leica Mobile. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to see the full offer today. T&Cs apply. Leica Mobile.
Yono SBI UK mobile app.
Send money to India anytime from anywhere with preferential exchange rate.
Yono SBI UK mobile app.
Open an instant access saving account right from your mobile.
Terms and conditions apply. SBI UK Limited is authorised by the PRA and regulated by the FCA and PRA.
Just a bit much. Just not coping. Just bottle it up. Just lock it away.
If you're struggling to cope with feelings of anxiety or depression, NHS Talking Therapies can help. Whether online, on the phone, or in person, you can talk to someone who's trained to help you work through things. No judgment, just understanding. Your GP can refer you for NHS Talking Therapies, or you can refer yourself online at nhs.uk/talk.
Visit travelhubltd.co.uk and get unbeatable deal on any hotel anywhere in the world. Yes, any hotel anywhere in the world.
Lockdown में भी अपनों से मिलाए. Fly India with Air India. Call Travel Hub 24/7 on 0208 782 8833 or visit travelhubltd.co.uk for online registration and formalities. Travel Hub will take care of everything.
Travel Hub, best service with unbeatable price.
At all protected.
T&Cs apply.
During the pandemic, people started listening to radio for more information and entertainment. Radio is a comfort medium that people listen to everywhere through radio, online, mobile app and smart home devices like Alexa. If you are running a business and want to reach out to the masses throughout the day, then radio is the best cost-effective reminder. Call Leica Media Experienced Sales Team today to discuss your advertising needs on 0207 132 1458. That's 0207 132 1458.
Hey y'all, this is Bambi Baines and you can catch me live on the Desi Riyadh show on Leica Radio this Sunday, the 22nd of November from 8 p.m. with Alexander Riyadh. I'll be talking about my latest single Retro Rari and much more.
14:58 a.m. on your mobile and DAB digital radio.
All about the music.
This is Leica Radio.
बड़ी तू गल्ला करदा तेरे तो कुछ नहीं होना गरीबा दा तू एमिनम मैं इंडिया दी हूँ मडोना तेरे जैसो तू कभी मैं जरा भी भाव नहीं देती मेरा दिल क्या तुझको तो ऑटोग्राफ नहीं देती मैं तेरी हो गई लोल नहीं आवा ऐ मैं तेरी कोल मेरे मुंह नहीं लगना मैनू समझना तू एल्कोहल च मेरी पीठ बजे कोई सुनना नहीं तेरा ढोल व तेरी हो गई लोल आपकी असुविधा के लिए खेद है खातिर जाने मुंडे रह गए कितने कवारे तुझे जैसे शिकारी पहला भी बड़े मैंने मारे
तेरी खातिर जाने मुंडे रह गए कितने कवारे मुझे जैसे शिकारी पहला भी बड़े तूने मारे
आजमा ले सब ट्रिक तू वे मैं हाथ नहीं लगती तेरे जैसे कई होंगे हूँ मैं एक मेरे वर्गी तेरी हो गई लोल नहीं आवा ऐ मैं तेरी कोल
मेरी आँखां नू कुछ तेरा मोल
मेरी पीठ बजे कोई सुनना नहीं तेरा ढोल व तेरी हो गई लोल
Radio.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. Last week, we acknowledged World Diabetes Day. 463 million people suffer from diabetes, and it is expected that the number will rise by 300 million over the next 10 years. Let's talk to one of the country's leading diabetes experts. Dr. Siva is a consultant physician in diabetes and endocrinology at Maidstone Hospital, and he's also an honorary senior lecturer at King's College London. His particular interest is in thyroid, pituitary disorders, and complex diabetes. He joins me this morning from Maidstone in Kent. Good morning, Dr. Siva.
Good morning, Keith.
Now, Dr. Siva, diabetes is, of course, the difference between type 1 and type 2. As far as type 2 is concerned, what can people do to prevent or manage the onset of type 2 diabetes?
Thank you, Keith. I think that's a very good and important question for us to go through at this current climate. I think the main message we need to get across to people is about healthy eating habits. If I give a couple of examples, knowing what they are eating, is important. If they start their day, they should have a regular meal. And quite a lot of people miss their meals in the morning. I think the most important message is to have something to eat in the morning. So that itself, will prevent diabetes. Then the second thing is the type of the food. And I think there is quite a lot of abundant, unhealthy foods around, and people need to recognize that and think about the amount of food, that is the calorie they take, and also the variety of food, to be included in their daily meals, I think is important. Then the other thing is about doing regular exercise and, awareness of their weight, and especially if they are putting on weight, they need to do, healthy eating and also, regular exercise to keep their weight down. And perhaps the other thing I will highlight is about knowing the risk of diabetes and having regular checks done, especially if they have family history, or if they are already noted to have a diabetes. For example, women who is having diabetes during their pregnancy need to be recognized later. So high-risk population I'm talking about. And I think, Asians are also in a high risk. I think, that's another important message I would like to highlight here.
Do you think that there is a tendency for people with diabetes? A lot of our listeners will either know someone who has diabetes or are suffering from diabetes themselves. Do you think there's a lot of complacency amongst the diabetic public, such as myself? I've got type 2 diabetes, in that if you pop a pill, you can eat what you want. But actually, the way to manage it is not just popping a pill, which we are prescribed, but also changing, as you said, your lifestyle, the way in which you treat this very serious illness, because the complications, as you have said many times in the talks that you've given and in the advice you've given to patients, are pretty severe.
I think it's a very valid point. I think that the point I would like to highlight is, I think, knowing that a family member having diabetes and recognizing the risk itself, and also the most important thing is about addressing the diabetes at the earliest opportunity. So if I just to try and elaborate on that, because if people are being diagnosed and if they're too late to control their diabetes condition, I think maybe too late really. If they diagnose the diabetes and if they focus on improving their weight and controlling the diabetes in the beginning, what will happen is there is a chance for them to reverse the diabetes. And you are right. I think some people may think, I have diabetes, I will take a pill and I can have any food I like. And that should be really, that is a wrong thing, of course. And that should be really addressed at the earliest opportunity to say that, they recognize the problem. But there is a bit of a myth, I think, especially with the Asian community and, things like, I think we did talk about it another time, Keith, about, people having rice, people having a lot of carbohydrate high meals. I think that is another factor need to be recognized in the beginning.
A final question about the vaccine. I can't not ask you about the vaccine, even though obviously the vaccine is something that is not necessarily directly concerned with what you're doing on diabetes. But of course, 1 in 4 of the people admitted to hospitals with coronavirus have diabetes-related conditions. There's a lot of talk about a vaccine for COVID-19. How much of this do you think is real? Pfizer, of course, has come up with a solution. There are other companies. Do you really think this is going to happen? And if it's going to happen, how on earth can we immunize 60 to 70 million people in the United Kingdom in a short space of time?
I think that's another hot news. As you say, I think one thing I may want to highlight is I'm actually part of the acute medical team as well. So I'm looking after patients with COVID, and we also have even analyzed our COVID patients to recognize diabetes seems to be a risk factor. Probably 1/3 of them have diabetes as well. So I think it's a hot news for all of us, and we will have to recognize. The good news is, I think, I have been reading the science about how they have developed. I think there are 2 vaccines in the pipeline. One is Oxford vaccine, other one is a Pfizer vaccine. The science has changed, and it's actually changing the way we have learned in our medical schools. So I think I am quite fascinated by the way they have developed the vaccine, and the study has been done. And even though the study population is not very big, I think it's about 560 people. It's very promising to see that even the high risk population, like elderly people, are getting good immune response to the vaccine. So it is promising. And I think the bigger question and the uncertainty is about whether there will be any side effects.
Dr. Siva, thank you so much for joining us on Leica Radio 1458. Thank you for all the excellent work that you do, and good luck in the next few weeks and months as you cope with the twin problems of COVID-19, as well as, of course, the work that you're doing on diabetes. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you for the opportunity for the Leica Radio to have me as well. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Leica Radio.
सुर में दिला पे घबरो नी तू अखियां च रख ले बसा के सोने दी जंजीरी वर्गा मुंडा रख ले सीने नाल लागे
चरखा मेरा रंगला विच सोने दी मेखा चरखा मेरा रंगला विच सोने दी मेखा वे मैं तेनू याद करा जद चरखे वल वेखा शीशे आज देखे तेरा मुख वे वेख वेख मिट देना अखियां दी भुख वे
अखियां दी भुख वे हो अखियां दी भुख वे
सीने दे विच रड़कदियां ए सोने दियां मेखां सीने दे विच रड़कदियां ए चरखे दियां मेखां
वे मैं तैनू याद
चरखा मेरा रंगला विच सोने दियां मेखां चरखा मेरा रंगला विच सोने दियां मेखां वे मैं तैनू याद करा है चंद चरखे वल वेखा
On air 1458 AM.
Online.
And DAB digital radio.
You're listening to
Leica Radio. All about the music. All about the music.
Mom, have you bought some of those delicious noodles?
You mean Coca, the king of noodles? Coca means delicious. Variety of flavors available in Coca packet, Coca cup and Coca bowl noodles. Suitable for vegetarians and halal approved. The king of noodles, Coca noodles, packets, cups and bowls, now available everywhere in the UK.
Pakistan is calling. The mobile plan you've been waiting for has arrived. You can now get 1,000 minutes to call Pakistan from your Leica mobile with Pakistan Plus M bundle. You can also get 3 GB of data and 1,000 minutes and text in the UK. All of that for the low price of £20 for 30 days. Never miss the chance to keep in touch with your family again with Leica Mobile. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to see the full offer today. T&Cs apply. Leica Mobile.
As winter approaches, here's a critical reminder of coronavirus symptoms from Dr. Gupta.
The main symptoms of coronavirus are a high temperature or a new continuous cough or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste. If you have any of these, to protect yourself and others, it is critical you isolate at home, even if you don't feel too bad. And you must book a test immediately. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Yono SBI UK mobile app.
Send money to India anytime from anywhere with preferential exchange rate.
Yono SBI UK mobile app.
Open an instant access saving account right from your mobile.
Terms and conditions apply. SBI UK Limited is authorised by the PRA and regulated by the FCA and PRA.
Leica Mobile offers unlimited international minutes including India, Australia, Canada, USA and many other countries. Unlimited 4G data, unlimited UK minutes, unlimited UK texts. EU roaming available. Only £35 per month. For more information, visit leicamobile.co.uk. T's and C's apply.
On air 14:58 AM on your mobile and DAB digital radio.
You're listening to Leica Radio.
That's it for this week. A big thank you to all our listeners from around the country who shared with us their thoughts of Diwali in the lockdown, something which we hope will never happen again. I thought you'd like to know that we've been trying to get President Donald Trump on the programme. The Talking Points team telephoned the White House. Strangely enough, they were quite positive and asked us to send an official email from Leica Radio Talking Points asking to speak to the President. So we've done that and we're waiting for his reply. I will let you know what happens when he does. As usual, thanks to my producer Rupi, my production assistant Eve and my editor Adam for their help with the programme this week. Thanks for tuning in. We know that your Sunday mornings are precious, so thank you for spending a bit of your time with us today. My final song of this week has been chosen by none other than former President Barack Obama. I say chosen by, in fact, he's just published his memoirs called A Promised Land, and I'm sure many of you will want a copy in your stockings this year. This book sold 890,000 copies on the very first day of its publication. Alongside the book, he published a list of his favourite 10 songs that got him through his 8 years at the White House. This has been Keith Vaz on Talking Points on Leica Radio 1458, signing off with one of Barack Obama's favourites, Eminem's Lose Yourself. Stay safe and have a great Sunday.
But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud. He opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out. Time's up. Over. Loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter. He's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant. He knows when he goes back to this mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go capture this moment and hope it don't do better. Lose yourself in the music, the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better lose yourself in the music, the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better. Soul's escaping through this hole that is gaping. This world is mine for the taking. Make me king as we move toward a new world order. A normal life is boring, but superstardom's close to postmortem. It only grows harder, homie grows hotter. He blows, it's all over. These is all on him. Coast to coast shows, he's known as the Globetrotter. Lonely roads, God only knows he's grown farther from home. He's no father. He goes home and barely knows his own daughter. But hold your nose, cause here goes the cold water. These fools don't want him no more.
London.
On your mobile.
And on DAB Digital Radio.
This is Leica Radio.
Sky News Centre at midday. The Chancellor's confirmed England will return to a tiered system when its coronavirus lockdown ends next month. The Prime Minister's due to set out his COVID winter plan tomorrow amid speculation rules could be relaxed over Christmas. Rishi Sunak has been asked about the PM's plans for the festive period.
Frustrating as it is for all of us, Christmas is not going to be normal this year. But that said, the Prime Minister and everyone else were looking at ways to see how families can spend some time with each other over Christmas period. Obviously that's something that we would like to do, and it's been a difficult year for all of us, but it's as I said, it's not going to be a normal Christmas this year.
Meanwhile, the Chancellor's insisted there won't be a return to austerity in his upcoming spending review, but he didn't rule out a future public pay freeze. He suggested any wage settlements needed to be considered in the context of the wider economic climate. Francis O'Grady, the General Secretary of the TUC, says such a move would be bad politics.
I am appealing to people's sense of fairness and justice here. You know, as a country, we cannot look ourselves in the mirror and cut the pay of some of our hard-working key workers.
4 people have been arrested on suspicion of violent disorder following an incident in Cardiff city centre last night. Police say 6 people were taken to hospital with various injuries, including stab wounds. The Archbishop of Canterbury is taking some time off next year for spiritual renewal. Justin Welby is expected to be away for 3 months from May. In sport, the first of today's 4 Premier League games has just got underway, with Everton facing struggling Fulham at Craven Cottage. Rangers have also just kicked off in the Scottish Premiership. They're at home to Aberdeen. And Euphoria star Lucas Gage has shared the moment a director insulted his flat during a Zoom audition without realising he wasn't muted. The American actor joked that he should be